Okay, so in this video we're going to go over the File menu and start to familiarize ourselves a little bit with what is up here and what kinds of things you can do with your documents. So my workspace is all set up and I have opened one of my images, and this image is actually available on the Etsy shop. I have a little digital downloads shop over on Etsy, which is really cool if you're into clip art or vectorizing or crafting and whatnot. So I brought that up so that we can interact with it a bit using this File menu as we go through it. So if you click on File up here, it's pretty self-explanatory, and as a beginner you're not going to deal too much with most of this. So I want you to concentrate on New, Open, Close, Save As, and Exit. These are the selection tools that will allow you to pick what document is open, save it as a different file name, and so forth. Your Edit menu, these top three, have your undo and redo keys. They'll let you undo a step that you've just taken, redo it, and so on. Your cut, copy, and paste functions are right below it, and fill and stroke functions are also a lot of fun to use. Fill creates fills the area of the layer that you have selected with color, and stroke creates a border around it. So I have my Audrey layer selected here. If I wanted to create a fill, right now I have color selected. You can either use the foreground color, which is black, as you can see on my color picker on the left here, or my background color, which is white, which is the color that's right behind it, or I can pick a color. Let's do orange. Hit OK, and the entire layer is filled with orange. We're going to undo. You can either hit Control-Z, go back to your history palette and move and click on the step that's right before the one that you want to undo, or you can go up here to the Edit menu and click Undo Fill. Stroke works in a similar way. Go back to Edit and drag down to Stroke. If I click on it, I already have 10 pixels preset here, but you can change the width of your stroke using this little text box right there, as well as the color. If you click on it, it'll bring up a dialog box that'll let you change the color of your stroke. I've picked this blue color. Hit OK, and it'll create this nice, strong border around all of the transparent areas of my layer. And it'll only do this if there are transparent areas. If I hide my background layer, you'll see that this is all transparent. So again, we're going to undo. This time I'm going to do it with Control-Z. So that's your Edit menu. Right here under this section are your transform controls, and clicking on any one of these will bring up various kinds of bounding boxes that you can then use to warp and skew your objects. Very powerful tools. So you can use the project file that I've included to go through this menu and play around with warping and transforming your image. Define brush preset and pattern. Both of these let you create your own brush presets and patterns, and I've had a lot of fun with these, and some of them are available on the Etsy shop as well. You can actually create patterns and save them as brushes, which get saved on your hard drive, and then you can come back and use them whenever you want. Your image menu has all of the different functions that'll let you control your image in general. The mode has to do with what color mode you're using. Right now we're in RGB because we're viewing this image on a monitor. You also have your adjustments menu, and this menu has a range of controls that let you change the color levels and color balance, saturation, and whatnot of your image. Very powerful, so you can go and play with this too when you download the project file. We're going to go into these a little more in detail in another tutorial, but you can play with these as much as you'd like, especially the hue and saturation. That's a really fun one. It lets you change how vivid your document is. So back to image. That's the adjustments menu. Also auto tone, contrast, and color. This is used by photographers quite a bit to change color, areas of color in their photos that are not correct, like yellow skin and whatnot. Image size, canvas size, image rotation, pretty self-explanatory, all used to control the appearance of your image. Your layer menu is the menu that will let you control and manipulate your individual layers. You can create new layers, copy layers, create new vector layers, and whatnot. The one I concentrated on as a beginner was new layer and layer from background. New layer creates a brand new blank layer, and layer from background will create a new layer that is a copy of my background layer, which in my layers palette says background and has the lock icon by default. New fill layer, adjustment layer, and whatnot. So all of your layer functions are available in this menu. Your type menu allows you to control your text, fonts, font shape, and all of that good stuff. If I had text open in this document, I could use this to make it larger, change the font, rasterize it so I can work with it like an image, make it 3D, and whatnot. My select menu lets me select everything in a document, deselect everything, select all of the layers, select a color range. For example, if I wanted to select just the Tiffany blue areas of this outside circle here, I could do that with color range. So that's your select menu. Your filter menu has a wide range of different effects that you can use on your objects. This filter gallery, clicking on that will bring up an even larger selection of different filters that you can use. Blur, distort, pixelate, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of options that let you sort of make cool effects in your document. When you go and download the project file for this video, I would highly suggest playing around with this filter menu, and especially blur and distort and pixelate. Actually, pretty much all of them. Just come in and don't be afraid to click on things and see what they do. And if you don't like an effect, or something happens that you're not expecting, don't panic, because everything is always undoable, almost always, in Photoshop. For example, if I accidentally blurred my image, and I didn't want that, oh no, it's blurry, we can go back to the history menu and just undo it by clicking back one step. If the blur were 2 steps ahead of where I wanted to be, I would just click 2 steps back. In this case, 2 steps back is move. So that's your filter menu. A lot of fun. And there are a wealth of tutorials on the internet on how to use this filter menu to really interesting effects. 3D menu. Beginners aren't going to have a whole lot to do with this, but this has a range of 3D effects that you can use to make your images seem 3D. The view menu has your tools such as zoom in, zoom out, fit on screen, which will adjust your document so that it fills up your workspace. For example, if I had zoomed out a little bit and I wanted my document to fill up my whole workspace, this is the tool you would use by going to View, Fit on Screen. Ta-da! You can also see it in the print size that it would be. I can show and hide this ruler in my workspace, I generally have this ruler that measures my document, and I hid that by clicking on it. If you want the ruler to show, you'll go to Window, View, not Window. View, and drag down to Rulers. You can also do that by hitting Control R and things of that nature. Show will bring up all sorts of grids, and snap causes your objects to snap to the grid. Right now the grid's invisible, but if it was visible, you would be able to see a literal grid around my document, and snap would cause my objects to snap as I moved them around to the grid. Window has all of your palette options. So if you're not familiar what a palette is, I have a tutorial called The Workspace that you'll want to go back and view. But in short, a palette is anything, any of these boxes that has a collection of tools that let me interact with my objects. This is my text palette, history palette, layers palette over here, and so forth. So this option has all of the different palettes. Actions palette, adjustments, color, notes, paragraph, tool presets, options, all sorts of really great ways to adjust your workspace. My workspace is set up as I like it right now, but as you get more familiar with Photoshop, you'll find that you want certain palettes open all the time. I do not like a bunch of palettes being open. I think it makes my workspace too busy. But that's just me. You're going to have a different way of setting it up. And you'll just sort of have to figure that out as you go. You'll figure out that maybe you want your brush palette open all the time. You can resize them as well by just holding your mouse over the edge. So maybe you want your brush palette open all the time, which is fine. You can just open it, drag it to wherever you want it to be, and leave it there. Some people like that. I get distracted really easy by too much visual information at one time, so I like to keep my workspace pretty sort of pared down. So this window palette is what you'll concentrate on when you're modifying your workspace to suit your own needs. So options is another one that you should know about. If you click options, if there's no check mark next to it and you click it, you'll get this menu right under your file menu that, when activated, has a bunch of tools that you can use to modify the way the tool you're currently using works. For example, I have my move tool activated, so I only have these modifications right there. If I were to click on the rectangular marquee tool, different options pop up, as you see. So these will change according to which tool you have activated. So, oh, and then of course the help menu. If you need help with Photoshop and a tutorial isn't helping, this is a great menu to explore. So that's pretty much it. That'll help you get around in your first couple of Photoshop projects using the file menu, using your palettes, getting to know your workspace a little bit. So I would highly suggest you download the project file. There is a link in the About section of this video, and the file's stored on Google Drive, which is nice and safe and secure. So you can go and download that project file at your leisure, and then just play around with how some of these different menu options work. I would concentrate on the image menu for right now, the layer menu, and the filters. You can go through and change all of these filters and just sort of play around with it. And like I said, don't be afraid to undo something if you don't like what happened. And then play around with your workspace using Window. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and we will see you next time.